Well, Matthew, we've seen a lot of tools, but we need something to sharpen them with. Have you got something to sharpen them with?
Well, there are a lot of ways to do it. One of my favorite is here today. It's Tormek. So we'll go over and see what they're doing today.
Hey there, can you sharpen some of the tools I bought?
Absolutely, I can. Be happy to. Now, what we're looking at here is a chisel that has been sharpened on the Tormek. That's got a beautiful edge on it. But you guys don't want to see how to sharpen a tool that's already sharp, right? No point to that. You'd like to see something sharpened that needs to be sharpened. So let's loan this one to our next door neighbor. The neighbor's a nice guy, but he's not much of a woodworker. And he'll take it and use it to cut nails and chip concrete, open paint cans, drop it half a dozen times.
So you know
use
the
it for
guy.
a screwdriver. Then he'll still have to go over to his place to get it.
Oh, that's messed up. You'll never be able to fix that.
Well, we sure can't do any woodworking with it right now, that's for sure. So we have to completely recondition that tool, reshape it, grind the nicks out, and get it back to a usable edge. We're going to start that by taking our straight edge jig, I'm going to slide the chisel in here, bring it up against the indexed edge, bring the clamps down, and lock it up. Now we're going to slide on to the universal support. We're going to set the bevel angle that we grind on the chisel by the height of the universal tool support. And we're going to measure that angle with this guide. This is called the Angle Master, and we can use this to set any angle between 10 and 75 degrees. For this chisel, we want it at 25. Put the pointer at 25 and lock it. Then we're going to rest it on 2 points of the circumference of the stone, bring it up to the tool, adjust it up or down until the back of the chisel just matches the guide.
Well, so far it's easy.
There's your 25 degrees, lock it up, and we're ready to go. The Tormek uses a 220 grit aluminum oxide grindstone. It's turning at 90 RPM and it's running through a water bath. Now between the low speed and the water, this is so cool you can't even burn your fingers on it.
So you can't take the temper out of the tool?
Can't take the temper out of the tool, you can't hurt the tool, you can't hurt yourself. A lot of folks ask me about pressure, how much pressure do I use when I'm grinding? The simple answer is it doesn't matter. You can put enough on there to pick it up. You can't make the tool hot, you can't stall it out, you can't hurt the tool, the grindstone, or the motor. Other side of the coin though, if you have arthritis in your hands and you can't bear down like that, it really doesn't matter. You can get the tool just as sharp with fingertip pressure. It's just going to take a little bit longer to do it. Now, in practice, what I do is about halfway between that. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure up on the back of the handle, a little pressure down on the front of the blade. It'll work back and forth. We've been at this for, I'm going to say, a couple of minutes. Let's take a look and see where we are. We can slide that off, take a look. Got just a couple of spots where I don't quite have the nicks out yet. Slide that back on, give it just a couple more seconds, and we'll have that tool perfectly reshaped.
And it's nice and square.
It is going to be perfectly square because we indexed it in our jig. There we go. Just a couple of minutes and we've completely reconditioned that tool. Now we've got a little wire edge on there. We're going to take care of that in a minute. But the next thing we need to do is take every scratch that's in that bevel. We need to make every scratch smaller and put all the scratches closer together. Okay. And what that usually means is you've got to go to a different grindstone. Or it means give up on the grinder altogether and start using bench stones.
Sure.
With the Tormek, we're going to take the same stone and change the way that it cuts.
That's great.
Feel the surface of the wheel.
Just nice.
That's
and
the
cool.
220 grit cut. This piece is called the stone grater. I'm going to use the smooth side of this, and we're actually going to polish the surface of the grindstone. Okay. This is fracturing each crystal in the surface of the stone. We're going to change the effective cutting action from the 220 grit that we use to get the nicks out to a very fine cutting 1000 grit that we're going to use to refine the scratch pattern on the stone. Takes about 30 seconds. And if you feel that after we use the grater, you'll see that it's a very, very smooth surface now.
Yes.
Big difference, isn't it?
Huge.
Now, the beauty of this is when we go back to work, everything is exactly the same. Same grinder, same stone, same jig. It's got to be the same angle. You don't have to reset, recalibrate, or realign anything. Just slide it back on and go back to work. Since everything is perfectly calibrated, this step is very quick. 25 or 30 seconds of this is all you're going to need to smooth out the scratches in the bevel. And after that step, you can see we have a much more polished edge. Now, at this point, it's a well-ground chisel, but it's not quite ready to use. Feel on the back right out at the edge. Feel that burr? That wire edge is exactly what we wanted the grinder to do, but if you leave that on there and you start using the tool, the edge is going to break down very quickly and you're right back to dull. To finish the job, we want to cut that wire edge off the back, and we'd like to polish out the bevel a bit more, which used to mean we were going to spend the rest of the day with a set of bench stones. With the Tormek, we're going to finish it up right on the machine, faster and easier. This side of the grinder is a leather strop, sort of like the old-fashioned barbershop strop, except now it's got a motor on it. The paste I put on there is a 6,000 grit aluminum oxide honing compound. We're going to use that to cut that wire edge off the back, and then we're going to polish the bevel. And then just to make sure we get it work completely off, we'll go back and forth a couple of times from the flat side to the bevel side. You can see we're developing a mirror polish on both sides of the tool. About 7 minutes ago, I beat that with a hatchet. At about the time it would take to watch the morning weather, we have put a perfect cutting edge on that tool.
That is just wonderful. Thank you so much,
You're
Jeff.
welcome.
Wow. Now that is one sharp tool. I could probably even scare my mother-in-law off with this tool. Thank you so much,
You're
Jeff.
so welcome. Thanks, Charles.
Yeah.